Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So, do you remember what we were discussing in our previous class? Sharon, you were absent the day last class.
Ma'am, yeah.
Did you find out what was covered?
Yes.
Okay. What is covered?
Till metamerism, notochord, then classification of animals.
Which phylum we started in the previous class?
Porifera, sponges.
Very good, very good. This is what I want. Even if you're absent, just find out what was covered. And what are the points we learned about porifera? Steffi, any one point about porifera?
They are generally marine.
Generally marine. Okay, Lydia, another point.
Their digestive system is absent.
What?
Digestive system
Digestive system?
absent.
Systems, organ systems are absent. Gayatri, another point.
They are asymmetrical.
They are asymmetrical. Then some major points. Punya,
They are hermaphrodite.
they are hermaphrodites. Sanya,
Water transport system.
yes, they have a water transport or canal system. What for, Sanya?
Food, taking food, respiration and removal of waste.
Okay, so we'll continue. Once again, we will see porifera. After that, we'll move on to the next phylum. Okay. So all the major points we will see once again. Some points are there for us to cover under porifera. So together in the beginning you see members are commonly call them as sponges because of the presence of spores. You know how does a sponge look like? It's having minute holes or openings on it or pores on it. So similarly, these organisms are also provided with minute pores all over the body. They are marine. The common name for the group is sponges. We commonly call them as sponges. They are primitive, one of the oldest group of organisms, multicellular, and they are asymmetrical. They do not show any symmetry. You cannot divide its body into two identical halves by cutting it along any plane, and they show cellular level of organization. Here the cells are not grouped to form tissues or organs, so just cells are present. And they have water transport system or canal system. Already we have seen these points in our previous class. In the flow chart, you can see that in the canal system, the water will be entering through small pores. And in the figure given over there, it is shown as porocytes. Porocytes in Austria, these are same. So you can see minute pores. So many pores are there where water enters. You can see the arrow, green arrows. So through these tiny pores or postia, water enters into a cavity. So this cavity, what you find, this cavity is known as spongiocele. So the cavity inside, we don't have any coelom, or they don't have any coelom, a true body cavity. Instead, the cavity which they enclose is known as spongiocele. So through the ostia, water will be entering into the spongiocele. It will be entering into the spongiocele, and then what happens? Whatever is required by the body, the food particles, then oxygen, etc., will be retained by its body, and rest of that, the excess amount along the waste and carbon dioxide will be going out through the large opening on the top. You can see postula. This also we have covered. Then the canal system helps in gathering food, exchanging respiratory gases, and also for removing waste. And the new point is that the spongiocele and the canals are lined by specialized cells, and we call them as phonocytes or collar cells. And you can see here an enlarged view. This one shows an enlarged view of the collar cell or phonocyte. And if you see the first figure, you can find lining the spongiocele and the canals. So here you can see it's lined by these collar cells that light violet or we say purple color cells are lining the spongiocele as well as the canals. These different canals are lined by as well as the spongiocele. If you see the figure carefully, you can find the lining by poenocytes or collar cells. So an enlarged view of this, you can see this given in a black color box. So here you can see a black box. That enlarged view is given down. So what I'm saying is about this box. So that is enlarged and shown below. An enlarged view of the collar cell or poenocyte you can see below, and these cells will be lining the entire cavity. Spongiocele as well as the canals are lined by means of which cells? Which are the cells?
Canocytes.
Coinocytes, or the other name is collar cells. So the point we only learned is the spongiocele and the canals. These are lined by specialized cells known as collar cells or coinocytes. So don't get confused between ostia and oscula. Ostia are the minute openings through where the water and food particles enter, but leaving out is through the largest opening or the large opening known as oscula. Now moving on to more points about sponges. Digestion is intracellular, means within the cells, inside its cells, the digestion takes place. Then body is supported by skeleton. So its body is supported by, to give extra support or additional support to its body, it's made up of some specialized fibers. You call them as spicules or spongin fibers. So its skeleton in sponges is made up of spicules or spongin fibers. The picture of spicules also you can see in the figure given. If you observe carefully, you can find. See here, you can see they have labeled the spicules. So this is made up of spicules or spongin fibers. And moving on to reproduction. So they show different accounts of reproduction. You can find both asexual and sexual method of reproduction. An asexual method of reproduction is by means of fragmentation. Fragmentation in learned in 10th standard. The body breaks it into fragments, and from the fragments a new individual can arise. Whereas sexual reproduction, in any case, you know, sexual reproduction is by the formation of gametes, male and female gametes, and then they fuse, resulting in the formation of the zygote. So either by sexual reproduction or by asexual reproduction, they can multiply in number. They are hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites means sexes are not separate. The same individual will be producing both gametes. The sex organs, male and female sex organs, will be found in the same organism. And fertilization is internal, just like in frogs where the eggs and sperms are released into the water and fertilization takes place outside the body. Here, but it is internal, just like in majority of the organism, fertilization takes place inside its body. The development is indirect. So there is direct and indirect development. Direct development means no larval stage is involved, but in indirect development, it involves a larval stage which is entirely different from the adult. They will be morphologically distinct. There will be so much of differences externally. The external feature will be different from the larva, will be different from the adult. So once again, we will see all the points. We learned in the previous slide, the new point what we learned was about coinocytes or collar cells, which will line up the spongiocele and the canals of porifera or sponges. Then we learned that its digestion is intracellular and its skeleton is made up of spongin fibers or spicules. Then about its reproduction, the asexual reproduction by fragmentation and sexual reproduction is by gamete formation. And these are hermaphrodites. Fertilization is internal and development is indirect. So before we move on to the next slide, quite a few points we have learned. So first we make this thorough and then we'll move on to the next one. Donna, tell me what all points we learned. One point you can say.
Digestion is intracellular.
Digestion is intracellular. Gayatri, another point.
They have skeleton made up of
Spicules of what fibers?
Sponge and fibers.
Spongin fibers. And Vidya, another point.
When they take reproduction, asexual reproduction by
By what is that method? Starting with the F.
fragmentation.
Fragmentation. Okay. Say and by completing with that sexual reproduction is by
Gamete formation.
gamete formation. What else we learn, Sophie? What else we learn?
Development is indirect.
Development is indirect. What do you mean by indirect development?
Indirect means the larval stage will be morphologically different from the adult.
Morphological means in external features will be different. What else we learned, Sharon?
Sponges are hermaphrodite.
They are hermaphrodite. So both, what do you mean by hermaphrodite?
Male and female sex organs will be found in the same
Very good,
organism.
very good. So we'll continue. So this is what we covered and examples. Cycle, we call it the cyca also, then leucosolenia, spongilla. Spongilla, we even call it as freshwater sponge. And Euspongia or bark sponge because of its peculiar appearance. So at least 2-3 examples you should know. Cycle, leucosolenia, spongilla, Euspongia. These are the examples of phylum Porifera. Cycle, leucosolenia, spongilla, Euspongia. Children, you need to practice. You need to write or whichever is easy for you. You have to repeat it. Otherwise, when we are learning more and more examples and more new terms, you will get confused. So please see that daily you just drill these words by repeatedly saying or by writing. Anyhow, whatever is suited for you, whichever is easy and will give you good results, you can follow that. So once again, cycle, spongilla, Euspongia, leucosolenia. Spongilla and Euspongia is easy to remember because the common name for the group is sponges. So Euspongia and spongilla. Next, we can see some pictures of this particular phylum. What you saw, here also you can find the pictures of some sponges. Okay? Different varieties of sponges you can find because everywhere you can see those openings. What we learn are small openings and a big opening on the top. So that is a characteristic feature presence of pores all over its body. So next we are moving on to the next phylum, Cnidaria. Cnidaria. But you have learned it in a different name. Anybody remembers? The second phylum, Coelenterata. You have learned it as Coelenterata. It has got, I think I told you that at that time in standard itself, I told it is having one more name, that is Cnidaria. We will see the reason why it is known as Cnidaria. So one by one, let's see the features. One typical example of Coelenterata you can find over there. It's a picture of a hydra. Then coming to the characteristic features, these are aquatic. Even though they are aquatic, mainly you can find them in marine waters than in fresh waters. And these are sessile or free swimming. Both forms you can find. When we learned about sponges, I told you that these are the sessile organisms. Sessile animals means attached to some substrate and they will be fixed in one place. And in Coelenterata or Cnidaria, you can find both types. Either it will be fixed in one place or they will be freely swimming. Then radially symmetrical. They are radially symmetrical. What is meant by radial symmetry? You can divide the organism into two identical halves by cutting it along any plane passing through the central axis. Okay, by cutting it along the central axis, any plane, if you cut it and this plane should pass through the central axis, you will get two identical halves. Already we have covered what is radial symmetry in our first class based on this chapter. Then they are diploblastic. Who will tell me what is diploblastic? Anybody? What is meant by diploblastic? We learn diploblastic, triploblastic.
Two germ layers.
Very good. They have got two germ layers, endoderm and ectoderm. So only when two germ layers are there, you call them as diploblastic, and you can find your tissue level of organization. So in the first case, what we learned? Cellular level of organization. Now here, when it comes to the second phylum, here the cells are joined to form tissues, but organ formation has not taken place. So here in the second phylum, you can find tissue level of organization. Then digestion can be extracellular or intracellular. Either it can be outside itself or it can be inside the cells. Whereas when we mentioned about porifera, we learned that digestion is always intracellular. Here you can find both the types, both intra and extracellular digestion can be found. And the next point, that is also a very important point, they have got a gastrovascular cavity. Actually, this gastrovascular cavity is also known by the name coelenterome, and hence the name coelenterata. Okay, this gastrovascular cavity, you can even call it as coelenterome, and that is why it got the name coelenterata. And why we even call it as nidaria, we see. Okay, so they have a single gastrovascular cavity and it is having a single opening. You can find a single opening over there. That is the one mouth. And mouth is present on a hypostome. Presence of mouth on a hypostome means here you can see an elevated portion, a slightly bulged portion. So on that is slightly elevated portion and mouth is present in the center of that. So that is known as hypostome, the elevated, slightly raised part of its body where the mouth is found, that is known as hypostome. And you can find the picture surrounding the mouth, so many tentacles. See, these are the tentacles. So tentacles will help them both in movement and also in capturing the prey. So once again, the points will be done in this slide. I'll be repeating. Those who have missed out any point, can listen. They are aquatic, sessile. Sessile means attached to a substratum, or it can be free swimming. It's not necessary that all of them are fixed at one place. Some species are sessile, whereas others are freely swimming. The radial symmetry can be found. They are diploblastic and have tissue level of organization. Digestion can be either extracellular or intracellular, and they have a gastrovascular cavity with a single opening. So when there is only single opening, what type of digestive system is that? Nandana? In some organisms, there are
Incomplete.
Yes, very good. So incomplete digestive system, it's only one opening. Whereas complete digestive system, they will have two openings. Already we have covered on that. Now, moving on to another very important point about coelenterata. Now, I told you that we will discuss why it got the name nidaria. Now, we are moving on to that point. The name nidaria is derived from the presence of nidoblast. Either we call it as nidoblast or we can even call it as nidocyst. Nidoblast or nidocyst. And these nidoblasts, they are present on the tentacles. See, on the tentacles, you can find nidoblast or nidocyst. And inside this nidoblast, there are some specialized structures. You call them as stinging capsules. As the name suggests, they sting the predator or its enemy. They will sting with the help of these capsules. So once again, their tentacles are provided with specialized cells known as nidoblast. And inside the nidoblast, you can see the figure, tentacles, and inside the tentacles or arranged on the tentacles, these nidoblasts are present. And inside the nidoblast, see the figure, children? So you can find inside the nidoblast some capsule-like structures are there. You call them as nematocysts. And nematocyst is having a thread-like part. Just observe the figure. You can find a coiled structure. A thread is coiled and kept in the capsule. And when emergency comes, see, in presence of a prey, what is happening? It is shooting out that thread from the nematocyst, and that will be stinging this prey and can capture, or it can feed on that prey. It will paralyze the prey and it will consume it. Have you understood? I'll repeat once again. It's a very important point. And the reason behind why it got the name Nidaria. The name Nidaria is derived from the presence of nidoblast. What is the other name for nidoblast? Nidocytes. Where are they found? They are arranged on the tentacles. And what is special about nidoblast or nidocytes? They enclose a stinging capsule. What do you call the stinging capsule? What is the other name of the stinging capsule? Nematocytes. And what is the function of nematocytes? They will have, or they are stinging capsule. They have got a long thread which is coiled and kept. And once they encounter a prey or even a predator, they will shoot this out and they will paralyze the prey or the predator. And either they can, if it is a prey, they can feed on them, and if it is a predator, they can escape from them. Okay, so it's a very important point about phylum Nidaria or Coelenterata. They are used for anchorage, and apart from capturing prey and also for defending themselves, it can also be used for anchorage, getting attached to some substrate. Clear? Is it clear, children? You want me to repeat it? So the
Yes,
term
ma'am.
should not be confusing. Tentacles, nidoblast, nematocytes. On the tentacles, nidoblasts are present, and inside the nidoblast, nematocytes are present. Okay? So nematocytes and nidoblasts should not be confused. So think it in the alphabetic order. C comes before N. So inside nidoblast, you can find nematocysts. Don't say that nematocysts enclose nidoblast. So remember it in alphabetic order. After C, N comes. So inside the nidoblast, we have nematocysts. Okay, so before we move on to the next slide, what did we learn now? Anna, what did we learn just now? Why? I'll ask you. Why this phylum got the name Coelenterata?
They have a single opening.
It is because of that Coelenterata. What do they have in their body? There's a cavity. Can you memorize what cavity is that? Meenakshi, listen to Meenakshi, you will have to repeat. Meenakshi, what is that?
And they have a single gastrovascular cavity.
Cavity. And this cavity is also known as?
Coelentron.
Yes, coelentron. Anna heard? Anna heard? Need any clarification? No. You're ready to say? Yes, tell me. A little louder. A little louder. Anna?
They have a single opening gastrovascular cavity, also known as coelentron.
Coelentron. This gastrovascular cavity is having any opening? Any opening is there? It opens through which part? Yes. Good. Then why it got the name Nidaria? Evelyn, why it got the name Nidaria?
The name Nidaria is derived from nidoblast.
What is nidoblast? What do they have?
They have tentacles.
Nidoblasts are arranged on tentacles. Okay, nidoblasts are arranged on tentacles. And inside nidoblast, what is there?
Nematocytes.
What is the function of nematocytes, Gayatri? What is its function? What are its functions?
They are used for anchoring,
Yes.
defense, and capturing prey.
Yes, defensive mechanism for escaping from the predator and also for capturing the prey.
Predator.
So let us continue. Okay, next we are going to learn about another property of Coelenterata. You can find two basic body forms in Coelenterata or Nidaria. We call it as polyp and medusa. You can see in the figures, polyp form is the first one and medusa form is the other one. So both of them in their morphological features also you can find a lot of differences. So Nidarians exhibit two basic body plans, body forms, polyp and medusa. And all the Nidarians are not having both these forms, but majority of them have. And those who are having these two body forms, they will alternation, or they exhibit alternation of generations. When we learned about angiosperms, we learned about alternation of generation. Sporophyte alternating with gametophyte. Similarly, here, some of the Nidarians, they'll be having two body forms and they'll be alternating with each other. Means one form will be producing the other form. Polyp produces medusae, medusae give rise to polyp, polyp will again give rise to medusa, and that will continue. And that we can even call it just metagenesis. Metagenesis or alternation of generation. So what you need to know are the two types of body forms. Which are the two body forms? Polyp and medusa. Medusa and polyp. Okay? Which are the two forms? Polyp and medusa. And they exhibit metagenesis. What is metagenesis? Alternation of generations. We'll see more about that. So some of the polyp and medusa forms you can find. Now moving on to the next slide. See, polyp and medusa, that what to say, the picture is given and the rough plan is also given below. So one is jellyfish. Sea anemone you can find. See, the basic structure of a polyp will be like this. So this one is this complete polyp. And the basic structure of a medusa is this. You can see this organism. This is complete, what to say, this organism is having a medusa structure. Okay. Now coming to the features. And polyp will be sessile and cylindrical. You can see polyp. Sessile means always polyp will be attached to some substrate. And generally they are somewhat cylindrical. Example, Hydra, Adamsia, all those are examples of polyp forms. Now observe the next form, which is the next form, medusa. Medusa, umbrella shape. It resembles an umbrella and they are free swimming. Example is jellyfish or Aurelia. Jellyfish or Aurelia. And in the second figure, what you see is that of a polyp forming Hydra. So once again, there are two forms. Already we learned that there are two forms and they alternate with each other. And now coming to the characteristic features. The two major features what we discussed is polyp is sessile, whereas medusa is free swimming. Polyp shape is cylindrical, medusa is umbrella shape. Got it? Did you get it? Very important. I'll repeat it again.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I will repeat it again. Listen carefully. There are two forms, polyp and medusa. We'll compare these two now. Polyp is sessile. Sessile means attached to some substrate. But medusa, free swimming. Okay. Now coming to the shape. Polyp is cylindrical. Medusa, umbrella shape. You can see here, this one is cylindrical and medusa is umbrella shape. An example of polyp forms, Hydra, Adamsia. Whereas that for medusa, jellyfish. But some of them have both these two forms and when present, they'll be alternating with each other. Now see how they alternate, how the generations are alternated. We'll see now. Polyps, they carry out asexual reproduction. Polyps are capable of asexual reproduction. They carry out asexual reproduction and produce medusa. And what the medusa will do? Medusa will carry out sexual reproduction and will form polyps. So this cycle keeps on, goes on without any break until the organism is alive. This process continues. Polyps will give rise to medusa, medusa will form polyp, and polyp will give medusa. But which process, by which process these two or this particular alternation generation is happening, polyp is giving rise to medusa by asexual reproduction. Polyp asexual reproduction, medusa sexual reproduction. Polyp carries out asexual reproduction. And what do they produce? Medusa. And which reproduction is carried out by medusa? Sexual reproduction. And what do they release? Polyp. Is it thorough? Is it thorough, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Fertilization is external. Fertilization is external, means outside its body, and development is indirect. Already we mentioned about indirect development. Nevin, what is indirect development? Indirect development.
And they have a larval stage.
Yes, morphologically distinct larval stage will be present. This can be a little confusing, so I'll repeat those polyp and medusa once again. So those who did not understand, just pay attention. I told you that cnidarians, they are having two basic body forms, polyp and medusa. All the cnidarians are not having polyp and medusa. Majority of them have, and those cnidarians which are having these forms, they be alternating in each other. One form giving rise to the other, that one again giving rise to the first form, like that it keeps on going. And this we call, this alternation of generation is known as metagenesis. And then I told you the polyp, the characteristic features of polyp, I said polyp will be sessile, medusa free swimming. Polyp is cylindrical, medusa umbrella shape. And another important point to take note is how the alternation of generation is happening. Polyp reproduce asexually and form medusa. Medusa reproduce sexually and form polyp. Then I told that fertilization is external and results in the formation of the larval stage. Hence, we call it as indirect development. Clear? Is it clear? Yes? Or
Yes, ma'am.
somewhat clear?
Clear,
Very
ma'am.
clear? Clear. Okay, who is going to tell me what is alternation of generations? Nandana?
So cnidarians have two basic body, they exhibit two basic body forms, polyp and medusa.
Wait, enough. That's enough. Now, Lydia, then two forms. Then what else we learn?
Which exhibits in
Oh, yes.
meta
I can't hear you, Lydia. A little louder. Waiting.
A shows both polyp and medusa.
That we understood. Now what happens? What is metagenesis? What is the other term for? How do you say metagenesis? Give me a phrase by means of which you can define what is metagenesis. Alternation of?
Generation.
Alternation of?
Generation.
Alternation of generations. Your voice is feeble this time. Then what else we learned, Michael? Michael, no light over there.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Medusa produces polyps sexually, and the polyps produce medusa asexually.
Very good. And what are the characteristic features of polyp, Malavika?
They are cylindrical.
Point number 2.
They are sessile,
Very
fixed at
good.
one place.
Now read next 2 points about medusa.
They are umbrella shaped and free swimming.
Free swimming. 2 more points we learned related to fertilization. Vidun, 2 more points we learned.
Fertilization is internal.
Yes.
Development is indirect.
Always you get the question related to that. Now, what is meant by indirect fertilization? Yeah, tell me. Let me see whether after repeating many times, earlier also you got a question. No? Fertilization is internal means what? Fusion of?
Fusion of gametes.
Continue.
Then zygote is formed.
Where internal fertilization. So what does that mean? We have external and internal fertilization. I told the case of frog, where external fertilization takes place. So here the fusion of gametes takes place. Internal means what? Fertilization will happen or the fusion of gametes takes place. Where in the body? Outside the body or inside?
Inside the body.
Okay. Little slow. Okay, thank you, children. We wind up. Please revise today's question. And one more thing I forgot to tell you. Day after tomorrow, you have your MCQs. If you have any doubt related to that, please feel free to ask in the group. In the group, you can ask. Okay? Or else you contact me personally. Okay, revise well. Not try to get, you all should get full marks. Agreed? Agreed? Everywhere pin drop silence. Agreed or not? I want to hear it from you.
Yes.
Only one or two. Agreed or not, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Still very lazy. Okay, thank you.